beautiful. Welcome to Pure Boys, a Christian cinema podcast. I'm Zachariah Ty Bryant.
And I am Jonathan Taylor.
And welcome to the holiest and most pure podcast around. We are two pure boys, and we're here to talk about the Lord and his works in cinema. And this week, we have a real banger of an episode. I'm so jazzed to talk about this. When we set out to make this show, this is exactly the kind of movies I wanted to be talking about. And I think you can agree too, Jonathan, that
it's pure.
It's pure, and it's a holy message, and it's not at all there's nothing nefarious about it at all. It's all very from the heart and genuine, and is only there to just ask questions. That's all. This week we're talking about A Matter of Faith. I'll put in cheers after I say that, or like hoots or something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Before we get into this movie, let's start this episode the way we start all of our episodes, with the Pure Boys prayer. God bless our podcast. God bless all podcasts.
All podcasts.
I love you. Better. Way better than the first time. We're getting good at it.
Yeah, we really biffed it. That was my one cringe moment of the first episode, was listening to the prayer. But all things come with time.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Not millions of years, mind you, or even billions of years, but with the right amount of time, let's say 4,000 years maximum, all good things will come.
Yeah, the Earth isn't billions of years old, not by a long shot.
Yeah. So... should we start with this movie? Should we start talking about this movie a little bit, or do we want to save? Let's talk a little bit about our initial reaction to this movie.
Yeah.
Had you heard of this movie before we started doing the show?
No, not at all. A lot of these movies, I feel the same way. I didn't really know this universe existed.
Well, that's amazing. That's great. I'm a good boy, so I've been a fan of Christian cinema for 2 or 3 years at this point. So this movie was on my radar for a little while, and I didn't have the right resources to watch it, so I couldn't. But I remember seeing the trailer and being like, what is this looks like a real romp of a good time at the movies, and I have to see what it's about. And it's, having seen it now, I go, yeah, it lived up to all the promises that the trailer made. It lived up to all my expectations. It is what we thought it would be. So
yeah, the trailer really slaps. It gets you going.
Oh yeah. I guess we should give the general premise of what this movie's about, because people obviously don't know what the hell we're talking about. What the heck we're talking about. Do you want to give a brief summary of what this movie, or a elevator pitch of what this movie is?
I don't know if I could do that.
Well, I'm asking you to do it. I'm demanding it.
Okay.
Please.
Well, if you're demanding it, this is basically a real look at the conflict between creationism and evolution, and people going into college and being forced down their throats this evolution magic, and taking away from the teachings of the Lord. Yeah. And a journey of a young lady who gets her liberty taken quite literally from her at the beginning of this film. And she starts going to college and is introduced to this professor.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm getting into the weeds a little bit with this description. But then there's a great debate.
Exactly. That's what this whole movie is leading up to, a debate between a college professor and a secular man about creationism versus evolution. And that's what we're leading up to. And boy, does that debate deliver. It overpromises and over-delivers, I would say.
There's another good tagline for this film.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so before we get into it, real quick, how was your Valentine's Day? Did you have a good Valentine's Day?
Oh, my Valentine's Day was pretty lit. I had said peanut butter bar that I talked extensively about last episode.
Yeah.
So that was had, and it was just as bad as I described it previously.
But that sounds like a good, like, I feel like I would enjoy that kind of bar. A hunk of peanut butter wrapped in delicious chocolate sounds amazing.
Oh yeah, a little bit of chocolate over some peanut butter. It's how could you go wrong? How was your Valentine's Day? Did you explode?
It was low key. It was very quiet. We did our movie thing and watched the great battle between good and evil, aka good vampires and evil vampires. And it was beautiful. It was a beautiful end to a beautiful love story. That night I started reading the Twilight books, and they suck. They're real junkas. They're real toilet paper books. They're junk. But hey, I've committed to reading all of them and also buying all the other books. So I have the Twilight books. I now have the novella that's about like Eclipse, and then I'm also going to buy the other two books that have come out that I don't know the names of, Rising Sun and like Life and Death or something like that. So I'll check in every week and I'll let you know how Twilight's going. So far, 3 chapters into the first book, Edward and Bella have met, and it's a beautiful thing so far. He's not gaslighting her already. Just kidding. He's totally gaslighting her immediately. So it's pretty great.
Well, I'm going to definitely pray on your journey and follow along, because I refuse to watch any of the movies or read any of the books. But this will be great.
I will pray on your journey and pray that you someday find the light and see all of the Twilight movies for what they are, a beautiful Mormon parable for purity and chastity and saving yourself until marriage, even if that marriage is to a blood-sucking monster vampire man. And
you had me at chastity.
And there's plenty of it in these books and movies. Lots of chastity. Oh, boy. Just people just aching to get it on, but not able to because they're not married yet. And that's really what I want out of my vampire fiction.
Man, I can't believe we got chastity and aching in the same conversation. That's perfect.
Those words go together like lamb and tuna fish, though. They're two peas of the same pod.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. Should we move on to our next segment?
Yeah, let's get into it. I'm jazzed.
This is everyone's favorite segment of the show.
The Kevin Sorbo Tweet of the Week.
This is the part where you read a Kevin Sorbo tweet.
Yeah, I'm going to get into it. I'm not hearing the cues.
You can't hear the music at all?
No, I'm bummed.
Oh, is my damn. Well, my mic. Well, anyway, you can just read it then. Just read it and that'll be fine. If
you could give me the shocker or something.
Here it is. Here's the shocker for you.
Okay, so this one starts out with Hillary Clinton tweet. So we all know it's going to be full of strife. She tweets, "Fulfill your oath, convict him," and then a bunch of other garbage. So Kevin Sorbo replies, "She sounds like a Sith Lord. Happy face. # Star Wars."
Cool. Appeal to those kids.
Yeah. I was really excited to get a hashtag in there. Also Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Huge fan. And
you were Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah. Kevin Sorbo, obviously. He really likes the right-wing agenda of Star Wars, I think. Mm-hmm. And you gotta get him. You gotta get Hillary at her worst, and this is definitely one of the worst things that she could ever tweet.
So she said, "Fulfill your oath, convict him," and he went, "This sounds like a Sith Lord. This sounds like something Emperor Palpatine would say. Sorry, Chancellor Palpatine would say to his apprentice, Anakin Skywalker, probably in relation to Count Dooku and cutting his head off."
Yeah, Star Wars. Yeah, she sounds like a Sith Lord. What can you say? She's the worst person imaginable, and she's trying to, hurt Trump in the worst way possible by convicting him.
Also, don't forget Benghazi, all right? Don't forget Benghazi, all right? Don't forget it happened. I don't know what it was or even what it is, but don't forget it, all right?
I'll never forget about Benghazi.
What do you think Kevin Sorbo's favorite Star Wars movie is? Do you think he's seen all 9 of them, or do you think he's just like seen a few and heard about the rest and went, yeah, I know he probably hates the new ones because they're full of a bunch of SJW lib shit, garbage in there, right? So
I don't know. There's a lot of bad arse stuff in there, and I think Kevin Sorbo has seen all 9, if not Solo and the others, and the rest.
His favorite is probably Solo, actually. Now that you mention it, that's probably it.
He's probably a huge Childish Gambino's fan, I think.
Yeah, but he doesn't like that Lando maybe has sex with robots and also men. He hates that aspect of the movies. Hates it.
Yeah, he hates robot stuff. Anything to do with AI or
goes against the Lord's creation.
That's a bunch of left-wing garbage.
Yeah, that's right. Those lib scientists. Anyway, why are we? This isn't a political show.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
All right, you heard it here first. Pure Boys, a Christian cinema podcast, purely political show.
Yeah.
So I just want to clarify something here. At the start, when I played the theme music and I was mouthing along to it, also big shout out to the Fraser Boys Bathroom Choir for that beautiful hymn to start the show. I forgot to give them thanks and praise at the start. Assalamu alaikum to all them. We love them. Did you couldn't hear that music then? So you just saw me just mouthing, singing, and waving my arms, and you didn't know what was going on.
Well, I was trying to point to my headphones. I knew that you were playing the song, and I have heard it before, so I could spiritually get into it. Mm-hmm. But no, I couldn't be right there with you, which was kind of sad.
Well, I think I know what the problem is, and it's on my end, but I'm not going to change it because it doesn't really matter anymore. We've played pretty much all the songs we have to play except the last one, so it's fine. Or the next one, I guess. But yeah, next time I'll make sure that you can hear everything. Anyway, let's keep moving forward here. That was the Kevin Sorbo tweet of the week. Great tweet, great pick. Great stuff as always, Johnny.
Oh, I forgot to say what time of day he posted that. It was 8:48 in the PM. So late night tweet.
Yeah, maybe he was watching Star Wars at the time. Maybe it was on TBS or something.
Late night freak, maybe. Maybe he's getting it on.
Maybe, yeah. Got a lot of questions for the Sorbo when we have him on the show. And mark my words, we will have Kevin Sorbo on the show to answer for each and every one of his tweets that he tweets out.
Yeah. And it will not be a deep fake. This will be as real as it gets.
And we're not just going to buy, several $100s worth of cameos to have him say whatever we want and then edit those into an episode. I promise you we will not do that unless we have a successful Patreon that makes us hundreds of dollars every month, in which case that is probably what we're going to do. So, but until then, we're just going to put it out there to the Lord, bring Kevin Sorbo to our show.
Could you imagine spending a couple $100s on anything greater, though?
No,
just be perfect.
Not if it's other people's money. I could definitely not see spending hundreds of dollars on anything greater. That would be the greatest thrill for me, is to spend other people's money on Kevin Sorbo. That would be great.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Oh, also, hey, listeners, we're now on all podcasting platforms. So if you like this show, head on over to your podcasting platform. Give us a rating and all that stuff. And, rate us 5 stars, write a little review. All that stuff helps us and helps more people find this pure podcast. So do that. Anyway, let's move on to the main event, as it were. This is us talking about A Matter of Faith. We're both dancing, even though only one of us can hear the music.
I'm humming it in my brain.
That's fair. Our hands are in sync, though, which is nice. Beautiful. All right. God, I really love that. Love that theme song. Love how good it sounds on the pipe organ. It's a beautiful thing. So, A Matter of Faith. This movie was made in the year of our Lord 2014, and it is 100% not Christian propaganda. It is a fair and balanced look at evolution versus creationism. But where do we start with this? Where does this movie begin?
Well, we open on a park with a man and his daughter taking a nice stroll along a creek.
Mm-hmm. She stops by the river and she's skipping stones into the water. And there's a little boy also skipping stones. And by skipping stones, I mean just throwing rocks into the water. And
the boy, his first toss is as hard as he can toss, and it seems like he wants to get it over the creek. And then his second toss, as if he like remembered he's supposed to be skipping stones, like is like, oh yeah, and then he skips a stone.
I thought he just threw his arm out on that first toss and was like, I don't think I can, director, I don't think I can do another one of those. I think I really hurt my rotator cuff with that. But the two kids are skipping stones, and the girl sees a 50-cent piece in the grass, I guess. And when she goes
with
to pick...
Liberty.
Yeah. Highlighted. Brightly highlighted. And when she goes to pick it up, the boy grabs it from her and glares at her and walks away. And, oof. It's
such a great start to the film. Like, she has this closed fist, and he opens it and just rips that coin right out of her hand.
That closed fist represents her beliefs on God, and that little boy is college professor Marcus Kamen ripping that belief in God out of her hand against her will. It's a metaphor. So from there, we're introduced to our main character, Rachel, whatever her name is, Whitaker.
She's a non-issue throughout this whole movie anyways.
Yeah, I got her and her roommate mixed up pretty much every time they were on screen. They look identical to each other. But anyway, let's not get too ahead here. Rachel is off to college. Her mom and dad are seeing her off to go to college, and oh no, sorry. They're at the
party scene.
They're at a party. Yeah. They're at a restaurant at her going away party when she's off to college. And her dad is giving a speech, and he delivers this killer line. "This is the moment I've been waiting for." Two huge laughs from the people at the party. And then
the laugh track they use is hilarious. It kind of like cuts off immediately, and it's so stilted and fake. I was so ready for this movie. Like, that really got me going.
Each laugh track is like 15 laughs, and then it stops. It's just like, ha 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 ha. That's it. No more. But he says, "This is the moment I've been waiting for." Ha ha ha. Stop. And then he goes, "What I meant was the moment I haven't been waiting for." Cool. Cool,
yeah,
Dad.
Everything's pretty stilted right out of the gate here.
Yeah, the first thing you're going to notice about this movie is that the acting is absolutely awful. Terrible acting, terrible banter between people that's just like, "Hi, how are you? I'm good. How are you? Oh, I'm well. What's going on? Oh, I don't know what is going on. What is going on with you?" Like, it's so jilted and so like there's no flow, there's no natural, like nothing natural about it. It's great. It's a very well written script.
There are 90 scenes in this movie that are like just stilted conversation like that, and then next scene.
Yeah. Just nothing but net. Just bam, 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 and then move on to the next thing. Rachel's packing up after the dinner. She's packing up her suitcase and everything. And her and her mom run out for a second, and her dad is in the room there. He picks up her Bible, and he slips a crisp $50 bill right into the Bible where her bookmark is, right in, I don't know, Deuteronomy or wherever, whatever's in the middle of the Bible. He slips it right in there as like a little treat for her when she gets to college. Hey, here's $50. Yeah. Spend it on, give it to the church, presumably is what he wants her to do with it. Donate it next Sunday when you go to church.
Yeah, he definitely wants her to give this to the church. But, like, it's such a nice moment. Like, the dad truly cares for his daughter.
Yeah.
Give her a little extra spending money to enjoy her first couple weeks of college.
Exactly.
It's a sweet moment.
Yeah, buy some weed is what he's saying to her.
Nay, nay.
Nay, nay. Rachel she heads off to college then, where we meet Allie, her roommate, who, as I described earlier, looks exactly like Rachel. They're both just long-haired brunettes that have the similar build and a similar face, and you can't tell them apart when they're standing next to each other.
Whenever I see this in a movie, and I think it's quite often, I just assume that they both read the lead. for
Yeah.
the lead.
For sure.
One of them got it, one of them didn't, and but they're best friends.
That's a very good. I never thought about that, but that is a very good point. Yeah, that's definitely how they got cast for this.
Yeah, and Allie, she introduces her to the room. She's very polite. She says, "I didn't know which bed to take, so I just took one. Sorry, is that okay?" It's a very nice interaction.
Yeah, that's the one thing about Allie is that, like, while other people at the college like kind of betray Rachel or kind of do some shisty things to her, Allie is always like good to her. Allie never wavers, like she brings her orange juice that one day and then Rachel returns the favor by bringing her the same cup of orange juice weeks later, presumably. It's
when she finds Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. Well, when she submits to Jesus.
And we will get into that.
Oh yeah, we will submit as well. But of course, what is college without some classes? So the only class we see her taking is her biology class. And it's here we are introduced to Professor Marcus Kamen, the coolest professor on campus. All the girls want to sleep with him.
And all the guys want to beat him.
And all the guys want to run track as good as him.
Oh, for sure. This is a note on the acting of this film. It is pretty terrible, but Mr. Kamen is good. He's a good actor.
Yeah.
I thought.
He's in stuff. Like, I think he was on, like, Night Court and stuff like that, which I know is, like, a weird pull for that. But, like, he is, he does stuff. Harry Anderson is his name.
Harry Anderson. He was, I watched Night Court. It was very good. Well, from a 6-year-old's perspective.
Well, he played.
But Dave's World as well is pretty good stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Oh yeah, Dave Barry. That's crazy. He also played. Oh yeah, and this is not a sell, but he played Richie Tozier in the television It presentation, the miniseries that they did. He's the comedian guy, the adult comedian.
Yeah, like he knows how to pace himself. He can deliver lines. He's also, for me, a breath of fresh air because he's talking about critical thinking and logic and things you don't see in a lot of these films.
And he is 100% the villain of this movie. We need to make
True
that
villain of the piece.
We need to make that very clear. He is the villain because he teaches biology, and his main thing is studying the origins of life and everything about life. And in order to illustrate that, he immediately starts talking about evolution. And he makes a very good point at the start of his class, though. He goes, "We're here to study science. Science is the field that challenges us to redefine the conventional wisdom of our ancestors. That is how we grow as a society and as a species." And I went, yeah, man, that makes sense. That's good.
He is so logical. He is clearly spoken, and he really wants to teach these young people, these freshmen, about learning and critical thinking and growing as a human being. And obviously the villain of the piece.
And like, he's very smart and very well spoken, except when it counts, aka the debate, where he just crumbles. Spoiler alert. Like, all that I expected so much more from him in that debate, and he. Well, anyway, let's not jump ahead to the debate. The debate is a big thing, so
because we're going into one of my favorite scenes, which is the college party.
Okay, well, why don't you take the lead on this then? Tell us about the college party.
There's just some generic like dance beat going on in the background, and just not what you would think of a typical college party where there's just crazy drinking and drugs and stuff like that. Just a bunch of nice people bobbing their heads and having a real good time. And then in comes woman eater Jason.
If this wouldn't get us demonetized on YouTube, I would be playing Britney Spears Womanizer right now, because that is who Jason is. He looks like a schlemiel, but he is a womanizer.
Yeah, he is a schlemazel.
Yeah, truly.
So he wants to chat her up. So he asks to go outside or go somewhere there's a little bit less talking, and kind of wants to get in her pants.
Yeah, that's made pretty clear later on. But yeah, he's just interested in like what classes she's taking and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, I mean, the point of the scene is to reiterate Professor Kamen. He had Professor Kamen earlier, and he's quite a character.
Yeah, and he nails his impression of him. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Is everyone alive out there? That's very good. How do you remember that? He did that on the first day of school. I bet he doesn't do that every class. That seems like...
Well, Jason's a real cut-em-up. I'm sure he was being really goofy off camera, and
yeah, I'm sure everyone hated him. That's why he got written out of the movie pretty quickly, and is involved in the most pointless storyline in this movie.
Yeah, the introduction to my main man Tyler.
Yeah, for real. So Jason and Rachel, I guess, kind of hit it off. There's like talk of like, oh, are you gonna like the next day? Allie like wakes her up with like brings her an orange juice and goes, "Are you gonna wake up?" And she goes, "Well, what time is it?" She goes, "It's almost 10." It's like, okay, it's almost 10 on a Sunday. So what? Like, why do I have to wake up? So you're saying it's like 9:40? So what?
Well, she has some freedom now. She can sleep into 10 if she wants to.
I mean, she's going to
She
miss
was
church.
up all night with Jason.
Well, just talking, though. She makes that very clear.
Yeah.
We just talked. But yeah, so it's clear that like her and Jason kind of hit it off. Allie seems like pretty excited about that. She's like, "Hey, I met him and his roommate Tyler this summer somehow, and like, you know, Jason's available, so you better get on that because he's going to get snatched up pretty quick." And I went, I don't think he is. That I've seen like yeah. I don't think there's people lining up around the block to try to get with Jason. He's like, he looks like a young Shia LaBeouf. No, he looks like what's his name? Like he looks like Paul Dano's like drug addicted brother. That's what he looks like. He just looks like a scrub.
He does look very familiar, but I don't think he's in anything. He doesn't even have a photo on IMDb or anything.
He's like, pretty much everyone in these movies is not in anything. Like the Night Court guy, Professor Kamen is the big get for this movie, weirdly enough.
Yeah. There's always a get, but in this one, it's definitely not Jason. And he does not have the acting skills to back it up.
No. We find out that through Rachel's dad, Steven, we find out that Rachel went to this university, even though her parents wanted her to go to a Christian college, but she wants to be a pharmacist, and this school has a better science program, which, like, no duh it does. Why would you go to a Christian college?
She is majored in biology, and she's going to see a lot of Professor Kamen over these next couple of years.
And you bet she is. And we're never shown what happens to Rachel after this, but like, what are the next 4 years like for her at this school? Like
there's no definitive learning moment or change other than she wants to submit to Jesus.
Yeah, she's just gonna be
we don't know.
She's gonna be constantly battling Professor Kamen for her like immortal soul is essentially what the next 4 years are going to be. Just the two of them, just bulls with their horns locked, just fighting each other.
Yeah, we do know who she's going to be with, but...
Oh, yeah, well, we'll get to him. So we're back in Professor Kamen's class. He presents that age-old argument to talk about evolution. He presents which came first, the chicken or the egg, and he makes a bunch of people raise their hands if they believe that the egg came first, and he makes a bunch of people raise their hands if the chicken came first. And of course, Rachel raises her hand to say the chicken came first, and he goes, well, and then he makes them do it again for some reason. I don't know why he does it twice. It's weird. Once again, raise your hands if you think the egg came first. Okay, 90% of the class. And then he goes, well, there is a right answer, and that is that the egg came first. And Rachel's like, I don't know, what? Hey, you mean the egg came first? What?
Yeah, it totally blows her mind. She doesn't know how to take that information at all.
Which is confusing to, like, the church that I grew up in, they weren't like hardcore about all this kind of stuff. They were more just like the Bible's a bunch of stories, you know, and like you just read them or don't or whatever. But you know, whatever. We don't diddle kids, but we're like whatever. They're a pretty wishy-washy church. So
yeah,
based on what Rachel thinks, she thinks that a chicken just like poofed into nothing, like just popped out of nowhere, and suddenly there was a chicken.
Yeah.
Not a chicken grew in an egg and then was born out of that egg. Like even in her own worldview, even in her old belief system, wouldn't the egg have still come first because that's how a chicken is born? Like that's how a chicken comes about?
Yeah, but I think in this crazy creationism, like, is fact and logic world that they live in, life comes from life.
It doesn't come from non-life.
Yeah.
It doesn't come
from eggs.
A Fabergé egg. It comes from life, which still doesn't make sense in terms of what they believe. Like life comes from life, and I believe a chicken appeared out of thin air one day. Okay, all right, fine, all right, that's cool.
It's one of the many things that they think strengthens their argument, but has nothing to do with anything.
It's just a hollow expression that means nothing. Yeah. So, okay, for the listeners, this is going to be like, it's going to feel like we're just zipping through scenes here, but that's because that's what this movie is. Like, it's just this nonstop pummeling of scenes until we get to the debate at the end. But it's like every 30 seconds, there's a new scene starting, and you just whip through them as fast as you can. It's exhausting.
In that last couple of scenes, we actually missed a scene of the dad that is just in front of his computer monitor.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of numbers on it, and he looks at a picture, and he's talking about his daughter at college. They just like keep going at a breakneck pace with these stupid little scenes that mean nothing.
And you're just introduced to people, and it doesn't, some of it doesn't mean anything. Like this next scene that we get to is a man walks up to two kids and drops a stack of newspapers in front of them and then tells them to archive them in like on the school computers. Who is this man? Who are these boys? Why are they archiving these papers? It's not established in this scene. We don't know what's going on at this moment. Just here's papers, put them in the thing. The university will be indebted to you. Okay, who are we? Who are you?
Yeah, I feel like they wanted this scene to inject some serious humor into this movie. They really wanted this to be a cut 'em up. They used that professor, I don't know, the journalism guy. They wanted him to be kind of a cut 'em up guy.
Like that guy's the real villain of this movie, I think. I think that guy, like, they try to paint Cayman as an asshole. Sorry, well, I can say asshole. It's in the Bible. But they don't. But that guy, the director of journalism, like the head of the journalism department, he's the real asshole in this movie, and we'll see as it goes on. But he's just a jerk to people.
Yeah, he's the true Sith Lord of the piece.
Yeah, when he says things like the university will be forever in your debt, I go, that sounds like something a Sith Lord would say.
Yeah, he's in the shadows with his cloak and his candles.
Yeah, that's right. But then he's also teaching classes as a man in a regular outfit, and you go, those guys' chins look really similar, but it's probably not the same person.
I'll let it go.
Yeah. Okay, so then we jump to they're at Jason and Allie and Rachel. Rachel is the main character. Jason is her, like, the guy that she's interested in, and Allie is her roommate. They're all at like the local restaurant, I guess, for this college.
I think it's like a student union type place. It's a chill,
that is
relaxed place.
Yeah, it's the student union. And because I guess, it's not a restaurant. Nobody's eating or drinking anything. They're all just sitting at tables. So, but they're trying to, Jason and Allie are trying to pressure Rachel into pulling a prank on his roommate, who is also there, but isn't sitting with them and isn't talking to them or even acknowledging them. It's weird.
Yeah, this is the first time or only time that Allie's kind of a little nefarious, but like not on purpose. She just wants to see a fun prank.
Yeah, and I don't even know if I'd say it's like she's definitely pressuring Rachel, but it's like you said, it's for a fun prank for them, not for the person being pranked. For him, it will ruin his day, but for them, it's just harmless fun, right?
Yeah, Ellie wants to see Rachel cut loose, get into the whole college spirit of the thing.
Do it for the sake of college fun, she says, which, all right, fine. I guess this is better than...
Do it for the eggs.
Yeah, do it for the gram. Like this gram of weed we're going to give you if you do it. So they're telling her, take this $100 bill, go over to my roommate, Tyler, and pull this prank on him. And so she says, all right, after a lot of humming and hawing, fine, I'll go pull this prank on him. She goes over, and the prank is, Jason pitches it to her like, if you pull this prank off, people are going to talk about it for years here. And no, they won't. I'll tell you that right now. After the week goes by, no one's going to talk about this ever again. It's a fine prank, but I saw it on TikTok last week, and I've already forgotten that it existed until I watched this movie. And I was like, oh yeah, that is a prank you could pull on somebody.
Yeah, this is not going to put you on a plaque on the walls of the university for years to come. This is just a stupid little prank.
Yep. So the prank is... she goes up to Tyler and she says, hey, handsome, how about this prank? I'll give you $100 if you let me crack 3 eggs over your head. And he goes, oh, handsome? Well, I guess I am kind of handsome.
I don't know about that.
Oh, I mean, people have been telling me that my whole life, but I don't know.
I got a medium-sized dick, but
it's been sucked before, sucked to completion before, so...
I don't know about that. These are some pure Christian boys.
No, those boys aren't pure Christian. Those are the bad boys. That's like, Poonhound Jason and Poonhound Tyler and Poonhound third friend, whatever his name is, Jackson or whatever.
I think I dubbed them the Heck Boys.
I mean, that is where they're going for sure.
I also came up with the phrase "woman hater bro squad," which is a little too toothsome. That's a little too long, but. Well, still fun.
And they're not really woman haters. They're more women disrespecters. They don't respect women. They just, love them and leave them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they really build them up to be these cool jock types with their flag football.
I love anytime someone is walking into a scene, they're always whispering to the person they're with, and then they just stop whispering. So, like... There's another scene where Tyler and another guy who we never see again are walking into the library, and he sees... Well, anyway, and he sees Rachel, and he's like whispering to the guy. He's like, no matter how many times I throw it to him, and no matter how hard I throw it, no matter how good I throw it, he can't catch it. Anyway, hey man, I'll see you later. I'll catch you later. And it's like, why are the whispering? And it happens like 4 or 5 times in this movie. Just different people just whispering to start a scene. It's very weird.
Yeah, I think the Christians love some whispering. They love telling secrets to each other.
True. So the prank, though. The prank is Rachel says, let me crack 3 eggs on your head, and I'll give you $100. And he goes, well, all right. And one of the guys goes, come on, man, it's $100. Like, do it. Which, like, yeah, do it. It's $100 to crack 3 eggs on your head. Who gives a shit? Fine. Give me $100. So
yeah,
she cracks.
You could pee on my leg for $100.
Yeah, if you were Chuck Berry, I'd let you pee on me for $100. I learned some horrible stuff. I was reading up about Chuck Berry this week, and I discovered some horrible things about him that we're not going to get into on the show. But I'll tell you off air because they're horrific. So she cracks the first egg over Tyler's head, and it runs down. And then she cracks the second egg, and one of his friends goes, scrambled, son. Which I thought was...
I missed that voiceover. Oh, no.
It's a pretty cool line. So she cracks the second egg and then goes, and he goes, all right, here comes the third egg and my $100. And she goes, actually, I think 2 eggs is good. She takes the $100 and skedaddles out of there. Got him.
Booyakasha.
Yeah, that's a good prank. That's a very good prank.
For the second egg, Tyler kind of looks up, so it like runs down his face.
Yeah.
It's just so awkward. I'm sure it was a directorial like note or something, so they could get it on film good. But did it look bad?
The first egg, she like smashes it on his forehead, on his beautiful tuft of hair. The second egg, she like cracks it on his forehead and then like opens it as if she's like putting it in a pan, which is like weird. It's a weird choice to be like, crack that egg on his head now and then mix it onto him. Like, he's scrambled, son.
Yeah, he's scrambled, son.
Yeah.
May I note, I think this is a good time to mention that Tyler is a huge upgrade from Jason.
Oh.
This guy can get it.
Yeah, for sure. And like, here's the other thing though. Jason isn't even like the ugly friend in their friends group. There's an even uglier kid that hangs out with them. So what is Tyler doing slumming with these two Uggo boys? I don't understand it. He can be doing so. He's presumably the quarterback on the flag football team at this university. He should be just crushing it. It's just weird that he's got this tag friend group of losers.
Yeah, he's hot enough to be a quarterback of a real football team.
But he's not big enough. That's his downfall. He's like got a scrawny flag football body, but not a big hefty man football body.
They should have made him like a starting pitcher or something. I could see him pitching.
Yeah, they should have made him. They should have made him like Japanese or something.
Yeah, but only in makeup.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Very like Sean Connery in that James Bond movie. Just you only live twice or whatever. Just very, very rough looking, inappropriate makeup.
Man, Hollywood's had a rough past.
Yeah, they have. Anyway, but we're talking about the future of Hollywood, which is Christian cinema.
Yeah, for sure.
So we find out then that a debate is coming up between the journalism and the science department, which I guess is like a thing they do all the time, I guess, for some reason.
Well, yeah, it looks like every month one department has a debate, and it's up to them to come up with a topic.
Yeah.
And it's the biology's department next October.
Oh, that's what so the journalism department is like always debating somebody, a different department every month then. And then October it just happens to be the biology department.
Yeah, I think journalism just sets it up and like does a story on it and advertises it. But the debate is upon the department to create something. Oh,
yeah, that makes more sense. Okay, yeah. So, and we find out that in the next scene, we find out that Jason made it very clear to Rachel that he just wants to be friends with her, and she's like really bummed, even though he's a loser, and like,
And she didn't seem that into him. It was more her roommate trying to like get her to have fun.
Yeah. And I love that she's like, he said he just wants to be friends. That's what it's always been. It's like, yeah, that's right. That's correct. Yeah. You nailed it.
Yeah. They watch TV.
Yeah, in the lobby though, not in his room.
Yeah, they wouldn't do that.
Where are we here? Oh yeah. So then we're back to the unnamed guys archiving papers again, which like this scene is just nothing. Like it's just two guys being like, how's that archiving going? Oh, pretty slow. Okay, cool, bye. And then they leave. You go, well.
It sets up that Evan's covering the debate, but it's still pretty unnecessary.
Yeah.
And a short scenes that could have been covered over like previously when they were talking.
Yeah. Dude, like the script needed another like 2 or 3 passes, and then it would have been perfect.
Yeah, like all the points are there. Mm-hmm. Structurally and logically, it makes sense, but it's almost too perfect.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Tyler introduces himself to Rachel at the library, and this is the scene where Tyler's like walking with his friend, being like, no matter how many times I throw it, and no matter how good I throw it, he can't catch it. Hey man, I'll catch you later, all right? I'm gonna go talk to this girl. See you later, pal. And then he leaves, and Tyler is like he's a scummy dude in this movie. Like he's just very forceful and like, hey, you cracked eggs over my head. You owe me a date. And she's like, I don't really want to go on a date. And he's like, yeah, you do. You cracked eggs on my head. So you're going on a date with me to this debate. And she's like, all right, cool. Yeah, all right. That sounds fun. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, he is incredibly forceful right away. And she just got over Jason. The heartbreak.
Yeah, it's true. Got put in the friend zone.
How dare you try to pick up this woe-begotten lady and force her to go to a shitty debate about math.
Yeah, he lies to her about how popular these debates are going to be. And then they go there and there's like 10 people there, and she's like, all right, well, and then after the debate, she's like, I had a lot of fun. And I just went, how could you? This, like you said, John, this is a debate about math. How could it have been fun? I don't understand.
Yeah, well, maybe they're meant to be. Maybe they had a truly good time that you saw none on film.
That's true, yeah. But, I mean, he says to her as they're parting ways after the date, can I see you again? Can I see you this weekend? And she says, no, I'm going home to see my parents for the weekend. But afterwards, yeah, maybe when I get back, let's hang out. Let's do some stuff. And he's like, okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, again, very forceful. She cracked 2 eggs, so he gets 2 cracks at that ass.
Yeah, he says that. I get a crack at that ass for those eggs.
Yeah.
He said, you're cracking eggs on my head, and I'm using my head to crack your eggs. And she's like, I don't really know. I don't think that's very nice to say.
Yeah, I gotta go home and see my dad.
Yeah, who I love very much.
Yeah.
So that weekend, Rachel goes home to see her dad, and like we see her pulling up into the driveway, and then the next scene is her just sitting in her old bedroom, just texting on her slide phone, and her dad comes in and is like, hey, dinner's gonna be ready soon. She's like, okay, sounds good. He goes, hey, so tell me about college life. It's like, did you come home to see your family and then just immediately go to your bedroom and not talk to them at all about like the first thing they would ask about when she got in was, hey, tell us about college. Instead, she went, I'm going to go to my room for like 4 hours. I hope that's okay.
Maybe they weren't home yet, man.
You know what? Maybe. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe. Maybe I'm being too harsh on this movie. You're right. I'm being too harsh on it.
It's kind of weird that the next scene that she's just in her bedroom alone. And I definitely see what you're saying.
This is bizarre.
But the father seems like a genuinely nice guy, is engaging with her, asking her how she's doing. Mm-hmm. But then he finds out, does he find out about Mr. Kamen, Professor Kamen then?
Yeah, she mentions that like she's having a lot of fun. Her favorite class is her biology class. She loves Mr. Kamen. He's a really funny guy. And her dad goes, a funny guy? A funny biology professor? What the frick? I need to investigate this. Like it's portrayed as if her dad is like, and even the music kind of changes to be a little ominous, and her dad's like, what? What the heck? Like he's like confused by that.
I gotta Google this guy. This guy's not right.
I have to.
Does he know that she's getting taught evolution at that point?
No, he knows that she's in a biology class and that her teacher is funny. And he goes, that's enough to make me suspicious. I need to look into this, man. I need to spell.
Right, because he finds out.
Yeah, that's when he finds out. But like, he Googles the guy's name, but the spelling of his name is not how you'd ever spell Kamen. Like, his name is Marcus Kamen, but Kamen is spelled Kaman, which... not in a million years would you spell it like that. Okay.
Time for my favorite segment of this podcast. How would you spell that name?
Even once I saw how it was spelt, I continued to spell it Cayman, because that's how Kamen is spelled.
I spelled it Camen, but that was...
Well, that's good too, though. That's better than Kaman. More likely.
Yeah, I was pretty dumbfounded. I had to force myself to put a K when I felt dirty about it, though.
I get that for sure.
Yeah.
But she's at home. This whole going home sequence is 3 scenes long, but it's like 2 minutes. Like, it's like the quickest return trip. She comes home, tells her dad about, I love Professor Kamen, he's very funny. And then the next scene, the family's late for church, and she runs into the kitchen, puts her Bible down on the island, and then runs out and then goes, Dad, could you grab my Bible? It's like, you just come back and get it. You left like 1 second ago. Just turn around and grab it, but fine. Her dad grabs her Bible and realizes she didn't take that $50 bill out of there. That $50 bill is still in the Bible.
Yeah, she has not cracked this Bible for this couple of weeks that she's been at college. Mm-hmm. And how dare she?
And so as a petty act of revenge, he pockets that $50 bill and goes, she doesn't deserve that money.
It's never brought up.
Nope.
She never finds out about it.
It's a victimless crime, technically.
Yeah. but so petty. Petty Tom Petty. It's so disgusting.
It is a very funny thing to do, to just be like, here's a gift from my daughter. Oh, she didn't see it. Or like, as far as he knows, maybe she did see it, or just like, I use an American $1 bill as a bookmark. That's like my main bookmark that I use. It's in Twilight right now. It's a $1 bill. But like, maybe she was just using it as a bookmark. Maybe she left it there because she figured no one would take it. There's a million reasons why that $50 bill might still be in her Bible, but her dad goes,
yeah,
frick her. I'm taking this away. I'm putting it in my pocket.
Yeah, frick the shit out of her.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a weird sentence.
Amen. Frick the shit out of your daughter, pal. How's that sound?
Taking this 50, you don't get it.
Yeah,
it was really petty, and then
so she leaves, and her dad immediately goes to his pastor and is like, I'm really concerned about this Marcus Kamen guy. He teaches biology at the public college, but he teaches evolution. He doesn't even teach creationism as an alternative to evolution. And his pastor replies with, well, the attack on Genesis is a battleground, which it's like, these people are going to burn down a mosque one day. That's who these people are. These are the seeds of like insane QAnon fundamental Christians. Like these are the kind of people that will go crazy and storm the Capitol building one day. This isn't a political show.
Yeah, this is not a political show, but they are so fundamental that it blows their mind that she's being taught. Well, the father's mind is blown. The priest at least knows a little bit more about the world, but he is blown away that she's being taught evolution, and he is overwhelmed.
Yeah. And like, how small of a bubble have these people lived in where they're like, I can't believe people aren't teaching creationism in publicly funded colleges. Like, blown away by that notion.
Yeah, it's crazy how, like, just steeped in their own worldview that they are, and their worldview comes from the Bible.
Yeah, and it's fricked. It's fricked 10 ways from Sunday. And these are the heroes. The villains are the people teaching evolution and not teaching Genesis or creationism as an alternative to evolution. Those are the villains of this movie.
Yeah, they don't even teach creationism alongside evolution. Like, at least give it an option.
No way. Because that's what this movie's all about, is like understanding and just like letting people make their own choices, but also shoving this Christian shit down your throat.
Yeah, making your own choices, but if you try to teach my child anything other than what I taught her, you got heck to pay.
Yeah. Anything that I've taught her in the last 8 years, because we find out she wasn't a Christian until she was 10. But anyway.
Well, I think that's the first time she submitted. She'd obviously been to church.
Of course she's been going to church for, of course. Yeah. She knows about hell, of course.
Yeah, or heck.
Yeah. There's a great scene where Professor Kamen clowns some track runner in his class by being like, what's your time in the 1500 meter? You're on a scholarship. And the guy's like, I don't know, 4 minutes and 3 seconds. He's like, that's a really good time. Are you the fastest runner on your team? No, I'm the 4th fastest runner. Well, let's say there's 10 teams in your league. And where do you think you rank? And there's 4 guys on each team. That's 40 runners. Where do you think you rank in those? I don't know. Maybe I'm the 30th best runner. Oh, well, you got a lot of catching up to do then. You're a pretty shitty runner, pal. How's that sound? And at no point does the kid go, why are you asking me this? Why are you doing this to me, Professor Kamen? I'm a good student. I come to your class. Yeah.
He's a really good boy. He just wants him to move on and not talk about his disabilities as a runner. But the point... go ahead, sorry. No, it's a really poor example of evolution.
Yeah, that's the whole point he's trying to make. Yeah.
Yeah. He's trying to make it like, hey, we've gotten faster and stronger over these past 100 years. Like, he would have won the Olympic gold medal like 100 years ago or something.
Yeah, when he presents it and he's like, if you'd have ran the 1500 in the 1894 Olympics, you'd have got first place. And the kid goes like, yeah, you're right. I would have. It's like, well, you didn't. You're running it in 2014 and you're going to get fourth, apparently.
And that's an example of evolution, that we are growing stronger, faster, and just you could even imagine what runners would be like in the next 100 years. But the reason why there is such a huge gap between 120 years ago to now is mostly technology, training, so many factors outside of evolution.
I mean, evolution is a part of it, but like, I guarantee that kid's parents weren't track runners. Like to your point, that he was just some schlub who, through getting Nike trainers and like good coaching, is able to run really fast now. Like, it's not like he was bred to be a runner. And like, you could make that, maybe if it was football, you'd have more of like a leg to stand on, because like in parts of the States, there are towns where there's just generation after generation after generation of football players, right? Like, that's probably a better example of evolution in terms of sports. But yeah, to his point, it's like, well, yeah, my dad is like my dad's 400 pounds and my mom is a housewife. Like, neither of them are runners. Like, they're not. I just got lucky. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's why I'm the 4th best on my team and the 30th best in the league. I'm not that good.
Just keep reiterating he's the 30th best, and that's all he really wanted to bring up.
And like, the professor never, like, this is maybe the only scene where the professor's kind of a dick to somebody, and I go, all right, this is, yeah. Well, no, there's that other scene with Rachel as well where he's a pretty big dick to her, but
yeah, he turns into a villain pretty quickly.
But it's like,
he's all poppy in the first meeting, but
he's a soft villain though. He's not like, he doesn't do anything outright villainous. He's more just like a tactless jerk than like evil, right? He's just more like, I'll just make fun of this kid, whatever. He's fine. He's here on an athletic scholarship. He's doing fine.
Yeah, and he's definitely soft. There's no evidence of him getting a boner throughout this whole movie.
No, certainly
not that I saw.
And I was looking, and I didn't see anything. Rachel is now at the library where a guy, like, her roommate approaches her and is like, hey, we're gonna go, there's a jazz band playing. You want to go see the jazz band? And she goes, no, I have all this work to do in Professor Kamen's class. Okay, you're a good student, bye. Allie doesn't pressure her to come with them. She just goes, all right, well, hey, hit the books and let's catch up later. Good personality. I like Allie. She's maybe the only person I like in this movie.
Yeah, she's sweet.
Yeah.
She's just a nice person.
Yeah. So then some dingus is listening in. One of the guys working on the newspaper is just listening into their conversation, and he goes, hey, you have Professor Kamen, right? And she goes, yeah. And he goes, what do you think about his theories of evolution? And she goes, I don't know. He makes it's interesting. It's interesting stuff. Yeah. And the kid goes, well, I think it's interesting, but I don't believe in what he's saying. And she goes, I don't freaking care. Whatever, man. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, and then he gets up and starts to leave, and then goes, oh, by the way, Kamen is not right.
Yeah, he's wrong about evolution. And she goes, okay. Like, who are you? Oh, my name is Evan, whatever my name is.
Like, yeah, Evan Almighty.
Yeah. Yeah, that's his name, Evan Almighty. Everyone is introduced. Everyone's giving everyone their first and last names in this, and I don't know why. I've never introduced myself, except on this show, as Zachariah Ty Bryant. Not once in my life.
Well, I think it's just the writing wanting to be as logical and as thorough as possible.
You're right. Yep.
They really want to make a point, and they don't want to get caught.
No. So now Rachel's dad is revealed to be a total scumbag. He's talking to his wife on the phone, and he's like, hey, I just talked to Rachel and I said that I can take the day off work tomorrow, and you and me can drive up there. We can take her out for dinner and like hang out with her, and then we'll drive back the same night. And she goes, oh, okay. His wife's like, yeah, all right, that sounds good. As long as you drive home, I'll be tired. And he goes, yeah, it'll be great. We'll go see our daughter. And then the next shot is her mother knocking on her dorm room door. Rachel opens the door, and just her mother is there. Where is her father? Well, he's gone to Professor Kamen's office to badger him about his evolution teachings.
Yeah, he went right to Kamen's office. He's acting like a really bad gambling addict or something. Like he's really irate, and he needs to confront this man who is poisoning his daughter.
And like, it's clear the whole reason he wants to go up to the college is to go talk to Professor Kamen. It's not like, yes, he uses his daughter as an excuse to get up there, but he just wants to go badger Professor Kamen. It's such a like transparent motive, and it's just like, you're a scummy dude. You're a real piece of garbage, Steven.
Yeah, petty action number 2.
Mm-hmm.
First the $50 bill,
Yep.
then dragging his wife 3 hours. And why make it 3 hours? Just make it like an hour or something.
Yeah.
It fits into the narrative of the whole thing a lot better.
That's so that when him and that other guy meet up later, when him and Evan meet up, then there's, they got to meet halfway. So, but yeah, again, this man is the hero of this movie. And so far, he's stolen $50 from his daughter that he gave to her and lied about why he wanted to go visit her at college so he could go yell at her professor about his curriculum that he's teaching, just shoving his nose in other people's business.
And man, does he get up in Kamen's grill.
And Kamen handles him great. He says to him, like, "Hey, Professor Kamen, I had some concerns about what you're teaching in class." And Professor Kamen's like, "Oh, okay, what are your concerns?" And he goes, "Well, you teach the theory of evolution, but you don't talk about creationism." And Professor Kamen goes, "Are you a religious man?" And her dad goes, "What do you mean?" You know what he means, man. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Yeah, what do you mean is super loaded. It's never like, hey, what do you mean? It's what do you mean?
It's like in Showgirls where Gina Gershon asks Naomi Malone, "How do you like having nice tits?" And she goes, "What do you mean?" You know what she means. She's trying to seduce you, Naomi. Don't get fooled by Gina Gershon.
Yeah, this is definitely the most Showgirls moment of this movie.
Yeah, I mean, the scene ends with somebody coming up to Professor Kamen and going, "It must be weird not having people come on you anymore."
Which has happened to Kamen before, but that's at the end of the credits, I think.
Yeah, it was a Marvel MCU post-credit stinger.
Yeah.
He's getting the Chuck Berry special. Anyway, we're not going to talk about Chuck Berry. I have so much to tell you off air about what a horrible man Chuck Berry was. I have so much to tell you.
Yeah, artists from the past have not a great track record. This is not a political or anti-Hollywood podcast.
This is not a political podcast. So the Professor Kamen says to Steven, Rachel's dad, he says, "Do your religious beliefs give you comfort? Do they comfort you?" And he goes, "Yes." And he goes, "Well, my understanding of evolution and the science backing it up comforts me. And so that's why I teach it. Also, I teach what the textbooks tell me to teach. I didn't invent this class. I'm following a curriculum. So lay off me." But he's being very astute about it. Like, he's not damning this man. He's telling him to if you believe in these things, go ahead and keep believing them, but I'm going to teach what I'm going to teach in my class, and I have somebody coming in, so please leave. Yeah, which is a lie to just get him out of there, but it works. It works well enough, yeah. But her dad is won't back down, and so Professor Kamen goes, "Hey, you're really into your beliefs, right? Like, you're fully alive. You fully believe these things." And her dad's like, "Yes." And he goes, "Well, we have a debate coming up next month. We need a topic. Why don't you debate me on, you take the stance of creationism, I'll take the stance of evolution, and we'll have a friendly debate about it. You don't have to worry, there's a moderator. It's all very, nice. If you don't feel comfortable speaking, you can read off prepared cards. People do that all the time. But, let's just have a friendly debate about the merits of creationism and evolution." And her dad is like, "How? I don't know if I could do that." He's so taken aback by that notion. But it's he's not presenting it to you like a jerk. He's just saying, "Hey, let's do this. Why don't we just have a friendly debate about it then? You seem pretty set in your ways. Also, you barged into my office and told me how to do my job, so frick you. But I'm humoring you here. Put your money where your mouth is." And her dad crumbles and is like, "I don't think I can't. I've never done this before. I can't debate someone."
Yeah, he goes from being a petty dink to being like a bit of a crybaby for the rest of this film up until up until the debate.
So, but he ends up agreeing to it. He ends up agreeing to do the debate, and it mortifies Rachel. And like, she's like, "Dad, don't do this. Please don't debate I'm a college freshman. Please don't debate my professor on your religious hokum in my first month of school. Like, do you know what that's going to do to me here at this school? It's going to destroy me here." But
yeah, the prank she pulled is going to have no weight anymore. Her status in this college is about to go downhill real quick.
Yeah, the kids call me Egg Girl. Now they're going to call me Jesus Girl. I don't want that hanging over my head.
I loved Egg Girl. Don't take this away from me, Daddy.
But he says, "I'm taking it away from you. This isn't about you, Rachel. This is about something more important than you. This is about the authority of God." And she goes, "Well, Dad, please just think of your daughter. Please don't be a selfish jerk and like, please don't let pride be your downfall." And he goes, "Nope, I have to."
I went 3 hours away from you for a reason. Please do not debate my favorite professor.
I attacked a man's beliefs, and he in turn asked me to defend myself. So now I must defend myself, even though I'm in the wrong. And every step of the way, I'm in the wrong here.
Every step.
So Professor Kamen ends up calling the journalism guy and telling him that, like, yeah, this is the debate we're doing. I have a religious dad who doesn't like his daughter thinking for herself, which is 100% true. That is an irrefutable fact. But again, somehow this man is the villain in all of this. So fine. This is the scene where Professor Kamen is a bit of a dick to Rachel, though, because the next day in class, he calls her out. He's like, "Yeah, we have a debate topic for next month. It's evolution versus creationism. And also this girl, Rachel's dad, her dad is going to be the creationism guy. He's going to debate me on the merits of creationism. Her dad." Okay.
Yeah, puts the spotlight right on her, and she is just cowering under that spotlight. Yeah. And you really kind of do feel for her, because what a position to be in.
Yeah, for real. Okay. So then we find out a little bit more about Professor Kamen. It's the newspaper bros reveal that 12 years ago, they find a newspaper article from 12 years ago stating that Professor Kamen got the former head of biology fired because he was just teaching creationism in his biology class and not even mentioning evolution. And that's somehow seen as like a bad thing. When he's like, this guy at a publicly funded college was not even addressing the scientific theory of evolution. He was just preaching creationism as the head of the biology department. There's a Christian college that he could be teaching at, but he chose to come here and preach Christianity here. That seems grossly negligent.
Yeah, it's Professor Joseph G. Portland.
Yes. Who we will meet shortly.
Do you think G stands for God?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, or God boy or God fearing or God willing. Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, he would not teach the lies of evolution at this college. No. And it's so rough.
Mm-hmm. Evan has to interview, like, the two dweebs that we met earlier at the newspaper have to interview Professor Kamen and Steven in order to, like, they're going to write a story about this debate. And so one dweeb goes to interview Kamen, and then Evan, who we met earlier, who told Rachel that Professor Kamen was wrong, has to go interview Steven, Rachel's dad. And here we get the longest scene in the movie, I think, so far. This scene is 4 minutes long.
And we don't get to see the other dweebs interview with Professor Kamen.
No.
And I don't think we see that dweeb again in this entire film.
Yeah, I think you're right. And also,
he's just gone.
But we do find out that Evan is on Steven's side, and also the other dweeb is on his side, because the other dweeb is like, "Hey, when you see Steven, when you see Rachel's dad, tell him that, tell him to go get it. Tell him that he's like, whatever. Tell him I said good luck. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the departure of dweeb number 2's scene. He, tell him I said good luck.
So before Steven gets a phone call from Evan saying, hey, can you meet me for this thing? But before that phone call happens, Steven is talking to his wife in their kitchen. And I'm just going to read this quote verbatim because it's a beautiful quote. He says, look at what I read in this high school textbook I got from the library. Humans descended from ape-like beings. There is nothing supernatural about it. And his wife says, how can they say that and get away with it? Well, it's a fact. That's how they can say it and get away with it.
Yeah, there's scientific evidence towards that conclusion, unlike anything that's in the Bible. But yeah, how the frick they get away with that shit?
How can they get away with it? I don't know. You should burn down their house.
They are so in their Bible or
Bible bubble. Yeah.
Yeah. That they just can't conceive of a world where evolution is taught with a straight face or with
that's taught on like on par with creationism. That's insane. That like how could someone even believe something like evolution? That's nonsense. But
it's very weird because that's how I view creationism, and it's so weird that we're on that opposite sides of coins.
Yeah, for sure.
That like what is going on with this world?
I don't know. But speaking of coins though, Steven and Evan meet up at coincidentally at the same park that we saw at the start of the movie, the same river. And Steven tells Evan the story of how Rachel found that coin and picked it up, and then a boy took it from her. And then he used that moment to teach Rachel that what the boy did was wrong because stealing is a sin, but we all sin against God, so we all steal from him, and the only thing that can forgive us is Jesus Christ's love. And that's the day she became a Christian. And I went, that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but okay, fine, fair enough.
Yeah, that's when she discovered true sin and that we're all sinners. It was a very teachable moment to her about the ways of life.
Like, to be like, that boy stole my coin. Well, that may be, and what he did was wrong, but also, you steal from God every day. So what you are doing is like 10 times worse than what that boy did that one time. And
just by breathing God's air, you are a sinner.
Yeah, by feeling anger at that boy, rightfully for stealing your money, you're sinning against God. And she goes, I'm going to submit my life to God today. And he goes, yeah, you're gosh damn right you are.
I was so happy to get to this scene because it was longer than 30 seconds. It was such a breath of fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
Quite literally.
But we're moving on from it because that's all we need from it.
Yep. We got to plow through 80 more scenes.
Evan gives Steven Professor Portland's information and is like, you should contact this guy. This is the guy that he got fired. Maybe he can help you with the debate. Steven calls Professor Portland, but he's not interested in helping him and does not want to talk about Cayman and talks like a friggin' mental patient.
He talks like a robot.
Is this Professor Portland? This is he? Sorry. Rewrite that. That's not how a person would talk on the phone.
Yeah, I feel like whoever played that character didn't want to do any extra work. He did all his scenes at his house, refused to ad-lib what was on the script whatsoever to make it more natural.
Read it as written.
He got it done.
But now we get to my favorite scene, I think, in the entire movie, where Evan confronts Rachel about this debate, I guess. She finds out that Evan gave her dad that information, so she goes to confront Evan and be like, why are you meddling in this? What are you doing? Like, I don't want my dad to do this. And Evan, if I could remake this movie, I would cast myself in Evan's role because he gets all the cherry lines in this movie. He gets all the best quotes. He got the best role and the worst look in this movie. To describe Evan, he has a bowl cut and a chin strap, and it is the worst look I've ever seen on a person ever. It is awful.
Yeah, particularly in the last scene, I was like, this chin strap is garbage. He He looks like a chode.
Yeah.
It is.
Like, it looks.
Oh, he's so disgusting.
His hair looks like it's cosplaying a military helmet. That's the only way I can describe it. Like, it looks like his hair looks like a bucket helmet, and then his chin strap goes and like he's got a goatee on his chin that his chin strap connects to, and it's just gross. Like, he looks like he smells. I'll say that about him. But he's my favorite character in the movie.
Yeah, and everybody else like has decent hair, decent makeup, but he seems to have like a $12 haircut and no makeup whatsoever. And you're right, he totally looks like he smells. He just looks like that kid that nobody would touch at school whatsoever.
And that's probably true, but only because he's a smug douchebag Christian. Like Rachel confronts him and is like, hey, stop encouraging my dad. Like, this is very embarrassing for me. I don't want this to happen. And he goes like, well, I mean, Professor Kamen, what he's saying is wrong and he's lying. And she goes, no, I'm going to read some of these quotes verbatim because they're very, very good. She says, Professor Kamen is a very intelligent man who makes good points. And he goes, no, Professor Kamen is a good communicator who only makes it sound like he has good points. Did he do the chicken and egg thing yet? Yeah. And he said the egg, right? The egg came first. And he gave you some line about the scientific research and the fossil record. And Rachel like thinks about it. And he goes, Rachel, think about it. Life comes from life. It doesn't come from non-life. God created the chicken first and then set it up so that life could reproduce itself. Kamen doesn't believe in God, so he teaches the opposite. Just answer me this one question. Did God create this world, or did it all come about through evolution? And she goes, I'm not going to answer that, because she doesn't have to. And he goes, you just did.
You bit.
Just scorches her.
I'm so glad that you had that whole thing keyed up, because that is just so perfect and really expresses who this dink is.
He's so smug. He's such a smug dink in this. Every time he talks to somebody, you can smell the smugness on him. That's why he stinks. He just stinks of smugness. He's the worst.
Yeah, like I want to call him Evan Almighty, but like that name is too good for him.
Yeah, he's more of a Bruce Almighty than anything else. He's shooting up women.
The conviction at which you said that he should be more of a Bruce Almighty. It was so good.
So Steven's stressing. He's like not ready for this debate. He's never debated before, and Professor Kamen debates all the time. And it's at this point that I realized, oh, this is a David and Goliath story. Like, that's what this is being set up as, is like this. He's not a debater, and Professor Kamen is a master debater. This is it's David and Goliath.
Yeah, unintended masturbation joke. Of course.
No, totally intended. They know what they're doing. It's a sin against God. You honor God when you're surfing the internet alone at your home.
Yeah, nobody gets a boner. Nobody masturbates in this movie. It's real PG.
Nobody is getting banged at parties. No one's getting fricked. Despite what we said earlier about frick your daughter, nobody's doing that either. So,
not once.
We find out Tyler's playing games with Rachel, but like Tyler and Jason, that whole Friends crew is such a non-entity after this point that like, why even talk? Like, they're nothing. They're just, the story is about Rachel and Evan and her dad and Professor Kamen. They are inconsequential to what happens in this movie.
Yeah, they really try to make the Heck Boys a thing, and Jason is really perpetuating the whole, like, oh, hit it and quit it, or you should just quit it because she ain't gonna give it up.
Yeah. And Tyler's like, oh, I got a plan. At the flag football party, I'm going to reveal my plan. Hey, spoiler alert, so we never have to talk about these guys again. She breaks up with him. They never go to the flag football party, and we never find out what his plan was. It's just pointless.
I think when the script was written that these guys were supposed to be like actual football guys and real like players, but like they didn't have the money to film any football scenes.
Yeah.
And they didn't have the actors to play football players. They're like, flag football, whatever. There's a flag football party, and he's going to try to scam on her. Let's not show it. Who cares?
See, I think that when they filmed this movie, it was 65 minutes long, and they went, oh crap, we need like something to pad out the rest of this movie. And so they went, well, we got that Tyler guy that she cracks eggs over his head. Let's introduce a subplot where he's trying to like play games with her or whatever. Well, how are we going to resolve it? Yeah, we won't. It won't matter. No, okay, we can. That adds 15 minutes to the script. That sounds good. Yeah, that's good.
Well, they are correct in their belief that the debate matters and nothing else matters.
True, yeah, and the authority of God matters. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, praise him. Give it up.
Stephen is hounding Professor Portland to help him. He goes to his home and he's like hounding him, and he's just like, I don't want to help you. Like, I don't care. I don't want to get involved with this. And so, okay, that's pointless, whatever. Like, again. Yeah.
Portland does live at this gigantic mansion acreage area. Yeah. Like, did he get into stocks and bonds after he was disgraced as a shitty college professor for evolution?
12 years ago, he was the head of the biology department. Now he lives on a friggin' ranch. I don't know how that happened. He failed up. Like, why would he want to go back to school at that point? He's got the best life ever. Maybe
he sold his story to Hollywood.
Maybe it's called A Matter of Faith, and we're watching it. So back in Rachel's life, a boy in her class comes up to her and is like, hey, have you seen, your dad's debating Cayman, right? Have you seen Cayman's example that humans evolved from apes? Yeah, as soon as he drops out on your dad, it's going to totally embarrass him. Like, it's going to totally make him look like an idiot on stage once he reveals that humans came from apes. And so Evan butts his dumb, smug little face in and goes, hey, let me ask you a question. Does your mother look like an ape? And he goes, ooh. And he goes, what? And he goes, does your grandmother look like an ape? And
Get him.
The kid rightly goes, who are you?
What is happening?
Yeah. And he goes, does your great-grandmother look like an ape? Let me tell you something. You can go all the way back to the first people, Adam and Eve, and you'll see that they were people because people come from people and apes come from apes. Now who's going to make who look like an idiot? Well,
yeah, and he has this like shamed look on his face, like he really got God. Yeah. Like, oh my God, what was I taught?
Oh my Lord, I've been a fool. And the kid's response is just whatever, and he walks away. When it should have been, what are you talking about, man? Like, no, yeah. Eventually, somewhere down the line, my ancestors were apes, sure, or like ape people, whatever. Of course, we were all mush at some point, whatever.
Yeah, Evan Almighty is trying to make this huge, strong, powerful statement about evolution and how stupid it is because we definitely didn't come from apes, even though we totally kind of look like apes.
Yeah, look at it.
You take away some hair.
If you shave a gorilla, it looks like a person. That's like a thing. Yeah. I've seen the skeleton of what was it? A gibbon. Yeah, it was a gibbon. Like one of the like, and with the exception of its long arms, it is a human skeleton. Like, it looks exactly like a person's skeleton. It's just the arms are longer. That's the only difference between the two. Yeah. It's just weird. We're all pink on the inside is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, like the step from that to a Neanderthal is not that much.
No.
And they are incredibly intelligent and can do frickin' sign language.
Yeah.
Apes are awesome. Yeah. I'd much rather be an ape.
Right? Than some smug douchebag. Rachel hits him.
If I had to choose between Evan and an ape, I would definitely be and have sex with an ape.
Yeah, I would shave an ape's head so it had a bowl cut and a chin strap, and then I would make that ape my bride.
Make that ape that bride?
Yeah, frick your ape. Rachel tells Evan, I don't need you to defend me, to which Evan replies, I wasn't defending you. He was defending God, the authority of God.
this was my credits moment of the film.
You shut it off?
Yeah, where he says, I wasn't defending you. And then he would say, I was defending God. Because that's the logical line there.
Mm-hmm.
And then credits, done. No sense in this entire movie. We don't come from apes.
No. Here's a weird thing I realized at this point, too. All of the Christians in this movie have perfect straight posture. Everyone. Every single Christian we see has the best posture, and everyone who's not a Christian slumps and is like bad, ugly posture. I don't know if that was an intentional thing or like they happen to cast these people for these roles, but it's like there's enough examples that I go, well, that must have been intentional then. That like every Christian is just like this perfect person, and everyone else is just this greasy, grub monkey. Ooh, can I say that? That sounds racist.
Yeah, we should probably,
Yeah, we'll erase that out. This is not a political show, so we don't want to get into that.
Yeah, snip, snip.
Yeah.
But, oh, damn, I had to point to your point, and then I can't point my point anymore.
Perfect posture. Everyone had perfect posture.
Okay, so I feel like this is such a shitty movie, they could not have an in-depth, point to make through posture like that. Like, these guys... But they're also creepy in the way that they structure their script, so maybe they did have that in there. But there is something weird about Christians having great posture in the most creepy way possible.
They try so hard for that perfect. Maybe it's to distinguish them from apes, because everyone else is hunched like an ape, and the Christians are all standing up perfectly straight and going, no, how could we descend from apes? Look how beautiful my posture is.
Great point. I think you hit the nail on the head. There's nothing else we could say, I don't think.
Well, I was defending God. I wasn't defending you.
How does he not say that line? Like, we
know.
both got there.
Evan also says, Kamen teaches his evolution lies to trick people into turning their back on their faith. You can't just add Jesus to your life. You have to submit your life to him. He says this all to Rachel. And Rachel goes, oh, damn. Yeah, I never even thought about that. So she goes back to her dorm room and busts out her Bible. But sorry, that $50 bill is gone, baby. You missed out on that ride. So she flips through her book and goes, Lord Jesus, I want to submit, which is creepy.
So disgusting. And that's the big turn for her. That is what we're supposed to find special about this woman, is that she decides to submit.
Mm-hmm.
So gross.
Yeah. So there's some other shit with her and Professor Kamen. She's like, she turns her back on him and is like, the chicken came first. Whatever, who cares? Let's get to this frickin' debate. I want to talk about the debate, baby.
Yeah, let's get to it.
All right, I'll play the debate theme song. Just kidding. So the debate is like, it's structured, like one person gets to say their piece, the next person says their piece, then they get to like ask questions and kind of counter argue about it, and then they'll open it up to the floor, and then any questions from the audience, then they can ask them then. And so Stephen's opening argument is that because science can't reproduce or recreate evolution or the origin of life, then it's not valid. And I went, well, I don't know if that holds up, because we've seen evolution like in our lifetime. In the last 100 years, we've seen evolution happen amongst like different plant species and different birds and different bugs and insects. We've seen them evolve over the last 100 years. And they go, nah, that's not good enough.
Yeah, he has a couple things on his side at the beginning. He submits to the audience and he tells them he hasn't done this before.
Mm-hmm. His dick is out.
He also says, upon what you were saying, that the origins of creation cannot be observed. Speaking about the Big Bang and the creation of the first amoebas or whatever, but we can, and we kind of have, we've looked at cosmic background radiation, a bunch of other stuff that science has looked into to view what's going on with our lives. And he's like, but you can't see it. You can't prove it.
Yeah.
He's just saying a bunch of bullcrap.
He says nothing times something doesn't equal everything. Like, okay, that's catchy, I guess, but that's not really what it was. Like, okay, fine.
I think they use that quite a lot. I've heard that before.
It's garbage.
I think that's a pretty prominent saying within the creationism community. Nothing times nothing does not equal everything.
Yeah, it means nothing. It literally it's nothing times nothing is what that phrase is. It's just garbage.
Yeah, and boo on the fossil records like those or anything. I love when creationists say that like God put fossils there to like trick us or something.
Oh,
have you heard that?
Yeah, of course. They were buried by the devil in order to trick people. But there's earlier in the movie, Steven has a book. Do you remember what that book is called? Like The Answers?
Yeah, it's like the new answers or something.
Yeah, I looked into that book. That's a real book that you can buy, but I found it all on their website for free. You can just read that book for free on that company's website. So I was reading through some of it, and the stuff they have about dinosaurs is hilarious. It's just people lying about stuff. And like they have like so there's they talk about like, well, how do you explain dinosaurs? And they're like, well, on the sixth day, God created all animals, including dinosaurs. But disease and death and sin doesn't exist yet. So dinosaurs live peacefully with all the other animals. And then when the flood happened, all the dinosaurs got killed in the flood. That's why there's no dinosaurs, because they all got killed in the flood. Adam and Eve lived with them. But like, that was only a few hundred years ago. Here's this guy. There's a story they tell in there in this book about like this guy. We have this interview with this guy who found a dinosaur with flesh and like blood in it and everything. And it was like a dead dinosaur that had blood in it. But how could that be if they're from millions of years ago? And so I read, they had like like on Wikipedia, they have like the quotations where you can like look at their sources. So I read the source for that quote that they had about like the guy finding the dinosaur. And the story that they link to is just a lie. It's just a flat out lie told by this musician, this like gospel musician, about how he went up to Alaska and like got in a dinghy with like a couple people and they paddled north, as far north as you can go in Alaska. And as they were paddling along the shore, sticking out of the rock was this dinosaur head. And as they went by, he pulled the dinosaur head off into their boat and it was 80 pounds. It's a wonder it didn't sink the boat. And anyway, there was flesh and blood in it. And at no point did they go, do you have any pictures of that? Like that was like 10 years ago. No, I don't have anything. I have no proof it existed. I Googled all of that. None of that story is true. It's all just bullshit. Like it's just, and this book is just being like, these are the facts. These lies that this gospel singer told us are the facts. Sorry to rant. It was crazy reading up about that stuff.
No, definitely worth it. I do hope that we all die and we go to heaven and God's like, yeah, I put those fossils there to trick you. That guy who went up to Alaska, he totally found that thing.
Guess what, pal? You facialed yourself. You believed in dinosaurs. Enjoy hell for all eternity because you believed in dinosaurs and you said, God damn it once. Go to hell. See you later, loser.
Yeah, it pulls a big switch and the floor gets cut out under you and you fall right down to hell, you stupid idiot.
And who's there to greet you at the door? Why, it's Little Richard himself. And you go, what are you doing here? And he goes, I'll tell you off air, buddy.
Debate.
So Professor Kamen, his opening line is about like pretty much the same thing, except the flip side of it being like, well, religion can't prove anything. We at least have like tests and stuff that can prove stuff. Religion is just a bunch of hokum and like taking things on faith. Faith is just wishful thinking. You can't just hope that things are going to exist and just, whatever, and just hope that things work out. He doesn't do a very good job of his opening statement. Professor Kamen let me down in this whole debate.
I think that's a bit by design from
of course it
the
is.
movie.
Yeah. He's not a real person.
like he's too good of an actor to really bumble most of it like he maybe should have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he eloquently gets through a bunch of shitty remarks, and he doesn't go into detail like he could have. He says he's on the side of Freud, that he believes that man has created God.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that goes when they're questioning each other.
Well, that's okay, but that is where we're going next. So, and he's like he's right, because Stephen asks him, "Well, how do you explain away God?" And he goes, "Well, man created God." And he goes, "What? Man created God?" Yeah,
that's
bro.
Gotta be that's a big dagger to a Christian.
Yeah.
Like, how we created God? How dare you say that?
And like again, everything he says, I go, yeah, that sounds right, because he's like, life was really shitty and really unfair for people, and so man invented this like supernatural umpire who would like call the right and wrong and like punish people who deserve to be punished. And he's like, people got a raw deal back in the day, so they needed to think that there was something better waiting for them, because life is cruel and uncaring, and they needed to just, in order to get through their garbage life, they had to hope that there was something better after they die. Which is like, yeah, that all makes sense. That totally explains God for sure.
Yeah, and like, cultures were at a different point evolutionarily wise as far as what they thought about, and needed some kind of reason for everything to exist. They were wondering what happens after we die, who created differences in animals and stuff like that. Like, every single society throughout history created some kind of God character.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to figure out more about life. We are very
curious.
We'd love to. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just trying to help. I didn't mean to derail you there.
No, I was on a soapbox and then I stepped off pretty quickly.
But like, it's all good. Well, get back up there, pal. Tell me about your faith in God. What do you think? Do you think we just rot in the ground when we die?
Well, I hope not, but probably. But I hope God exists. It'd be so funny, especially like a specific religious God. Oh, that would be so sweet.
Like if Jewish God was the God, like Old Testament God, who was just like, I'm going to turn your wife into a fucking pillar of salt, pal. How's that sound? You're like, I don't really want to do that. Hey, I made a bet with the devil that I'm going to torture this guy, and then he won't turn his back on me. And I'm just going to torture him, make his life a living hell, and all to win a bet with the devil. That's the God that I think exists. That'd be the fun God to exist. The one who's just like, yeah, plagues exist, whatever. I'm going to rain frogs down on this kingdom and kill all the firstborns. Why not? Whatever.
Yeah, I want to test your faith, so I'm going to do a bunch of horrible stuff.
Yeah. I dare you.
Still believe in me.
I dare you to not believe in me. Enjoy hell forever.
That is a lot of the stories, isn't it? Like, yeah. I'm not versed well in the Bible, but he dares a lot of mofos.
Kill your son. And then at the very last second, just kidding, man. Don't kill your son. What are you doing? I was going to kill my son, God. I had a knife. I was going to murder my son for you. Don't do that, man. That's stupid. Don't do that.
What a fun story for all the kiddies.
Yeah, exactly. Hell forever. So he says Professor Kamen's talking about how he supports Freud, and he's like, yeah, I Freud was right, and I'm going to stand by Freud on this one. And then a voice from the crowd goes, Freud was wrong. And the moderator goes, hey, this isn't the time for audience participation. And so Stephen,
could you shut up, please?
Yeah. And so we find out it's Professor Wallace P. Portland, or whatever his name is.
Joseph G.
Joseph Gordon Portman is there. And he goes, Freud was wrong. And the guy goes, hey, you can't just talk right now. And Stephen goes, it's okay. He's my friend. He's with me. Well, that doesn't matter. You still can't do that.
Still against the rules of debate.
So Stephen, being the weak man he is, goes, hey, can this guy just do the rest of the debate? I don't want to do the debate anymore. I'm going to lose. Can this guy do it? And the moderator goes, all right, yeah, sure. Are you cool with that, Kamen? And he goes, I don't, whatever. I don't have any more lines after this, so I'm just going to nod my head. It's fine.
Well, Stephen was really sweating buckets before this because
Yeah.
Kamen brings up the fact that humans actually wrote the Bible,
Yeah.
and it's not God's word at all. And how do you explain that? And he's like, "Oh, I got faith."
And he goes, so let me get this straight. You believe in a book that you don't know who wrote it, in a God who you can't prove exists, in the hope that there's some afterlife. Well, I'll stick with Freud. And then Freud was wrong. So Professor Portland gets on stage and is just like, hey, do you mind if I take over? Do you mind if I debate this guy? And Stephen goes, yes, thank God. Oh, man, I was crumbling there. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, the Lord has really given him a truck in this moment.
Oh, yeah, for real. And a big old truck with a big old dumper named Professor Portland.
Yeah.
So Professor Portland now just gives a long rambling speech about God that, like, he just basically says that everything Professor Kamen said was wrong, but gives no evidence to back that up. Just says, like, it's wrong. And people go, oh, wow, it's wrong. Prove that it's wrong. Yeah. Nah, I don't have to. It's just wrong. Freud was wrong. How? Anyway, moving on. I have no evidence.
Yeah, he really captivates the audience for no reason at all.
Yeah.
And he says man wouldn't have created God because he blames him for all his problems. And he curses God all the time. And it's just a non sequitur. It doesn't like follow logically whatsoever, and it doesn't disprove what Kamen said at all.
He says at one point, but man didn't create God. Freud got that wrong. But again, gives no evidence to back it up. Just, okay, the sky is purple and my shoes are platform shoes. Well, I can clearly see that you're wearing loafers. No, these are platform shoes. Okay, I'm crying. You've inspired me so much.
He should have talked about loafers more often.
Yeah, agreed. There's a whole bunch of shit that he says here where he says, like, organic compounds combine to make living organisms, but all of the experiments showed was that some compounds could combine to make organisms, and intelligence was needed to design those experiments. Well, that doesn't make any sense, and that also doesn't discredit what was shown in the experiments. Like, that compounds combine to make living organisms. That doesn't, just because somebody built a setting for that to happen, doesn't mean that couldn't have happened in a pile of ooze or lava or something.
Yeah, and it doesn't prove that God created us, which is...
Yeah, and he also says that the amount of information in the nucleus of a cell shows that it couldn't have evolved and must have been created. What do you mean?
What?
Yeah, like, just because you don't understand it doesn't mean that, like, it's impossible. Like, you can't just say that as if that's like a counterpoint. You're just saying, no, it's opposite day. This is yes is no and no is yes. And then people cry because it's so powerful.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of nonsense, just like everything in these Christian films is. And then the conclusion you're supposed to get out of that is that God does exist and he did create us. And this Mr. Kamen is a snake in the grass.
Yeah. The most troubling aspect of this whole thing is that evolution is being taught in our schools as a matter of fact, when in fact, no one can scientifically prove evolution, except for all the scientists that proved evolution and like showed, like there was experiments done with fruit flies because they don't live very long. They took fruit flies and then bred them over 35 generations of fruit flies to breed with just specific types of fruit flies that they had. So like in the whole big batch of fruit flies that they had, they engineered it over like 35 generations that certain ones would only breed with each other. And the fruit flies evolved so they could only breed with each other. Like the ones that they had set up to breed could only breed with the other ones that they had set up to breed with them. So like, they've proven evolution. That's proven evolution right there. They took fruit flies and then engineered them so they could only, through just selective breeding and through all that and whatever the experiment was, so that specific ones could only mate with specific ones. That's evolution. The fruit flies changed.
And beautiful.
Yeah.
Nature is so exciting and wonderful, and the evolution of creatures, it's all very interesting stuff.
Yeah, but it's garbage. It's all a lie.
Yeah, it's all garbage.
The earth is
Throw
not
it in the trash.
The Earth is not billions of years old or even millions of years old. Not even close. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, not by a long shot. And he just says it so matter of fact, and you're supposed to be so on board by this point. And he brings up that evolution should be taught alongside creationism. He tries to be the good boy.
They're equal. And people should make their own decisions about it. Go to a Christian school if that's what you want. Then don't put it in the public school. Take it to your private Christian garbage school.
Yeah.
He is, the way that he talks is exactly the way that Evan said that Professor Kamen talks. He is just a good communicator who only makes it sound like he has good points. That's literally what Professor Portland is. Exactly what Evan said Kamen was.
Yeah, there's a complete projection on that part. It's he is exactly that person. He's able to spin some words together. Again, another pretty decent actor in this film.
Mm-hmm.
The two professors there are probably a highlight for me. And he just spins a bunch of yarn, and he ends on exciting things that you're supposed to go oh yeah, maybe creation is a thing.
Well, he ends by being I know what I'm gonna do. If I'm going to teach both sides of it. And if people want to believe in evolution, follow where that leads. And if they want to believe in creationism, then you serve the Lord. And I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to serve the Lord, Jesus Christ, who died for our sins and rose after 3 days. And then people just yeah! And Stephen's wife is crying and it's just this nonsense.
Yeah, he apparently wins the debate.
I guess.
But, yeah.
Well, because the moderator goes, Professor Kamen, is there anything you want to say to that? And Professor Kamen just shakes his head. No.
He just gives up.
What? Man, just dismantle this guy. What are you doing? How well do you know the topic you teach? Dismantle him. You could.
He definitely has the tools to just rip apart every single thing that he just said. Mr. Portland says, who doesn't get his job back from what you can see.
No, nor should he.
No.
So the debate... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Well, Mr. Portland blames himself for getting fired. He doesn't blame Mr. Kamen. He, again, is trying to play the good boy and get the audience on his side.
And people are why are you telling us this?
Yeah, we don't need to hear this. Let's just end this debate.
Yeah, the audience is what does this have to do with creationism? Why are you telling us your history, your personal history, your beef with Professor Kamen? It just seems pointless. So the debate ends, and there's no audience questions. The moderator just goes, well, join us next month for another debate, when it's you'd think somebody would have a question for somebody, but I guess not. And so
and he tells Portland that there will be questions from the audience later on.
Nope, no such luck. So the debate ends, and everyone in the crowd rushes over to Stephen and is just wanting to talk to him and get congratulate him on winning the debate, when it's well, A, you didn't do anything. You buckled under the pressure and you let some other guy win the debate for you. Win is in quotation marks there, but somehow he's the hero in the story.
It's also not a huge celebration by any means. They kind of just gravitate toward him. They are congratulating him and everything, but there's no round of applause or clear winner or anything.
Yeah, it just kind of ends.
Very yeah.
It's very anticlimactic. But what isn't anticlimactic is the big reveal at the very end of the movie, when Evan is talking to Rachel and is hey, he takes her back to the river. He takes her back to that spot where her and her dad, where she became a Christian. He goes, do you remember this spot? And she goes, yeah, this is where my family comes on vacation sometime. And he goes, no, but do you remember it from 10 years ago? And she goes, I mean, I guess. And he goes, you were throwing rocks into the river, and then a boy took a 50-cent piece from your hand, and then you became a Christian. And she goes, yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah. And she goes, yeah, I guess so. Did my dad tell you that? And he goes, no, I was that boy.
completely unnecessary.
So unnecessary.
Such a stupid Shyamalan twist to the end of this movie.
Yeah. And then he goes, "Do you want to go get some lunch?" And she goes, "Okay." And the movie ends. like
it's so creepy, that scene. He like keeps on asking her if she remembers, and is like just begging her to like
bang him.
And I could barely watch this scene because I knew this whole thing was over, and I also just couldn't stop staring at his chin beard in this scene for some reason.
It's awful.
Like it's just like half shaven on his cheek. Like they didn't put any effort into his haircut, and I was just like, I can't look at this gross face anymore.
I hear you.
Oh my god.
And so that's
there also is a very quick scene before this where Mr. Kamen goes to his office and opens his briefcase and looks at that rubber chicken one last time. I felt like this could have been done in a clear field, like at the end of Facing the Giants.
Falls to his knees.
He just holds up. Yeah.
I thought he was going to throw it in the trash or something, but he just does. He just looks at it and goes like, well.
That would have been good.
It would have been something.
I think that would have played.
It would have been closure of some kind instead of just him being like, time to choke the chicken. You know what I'm saying? He looks in the camera and winks at him.
Yeah, he definitely should have winked at the camera, and then they should have ended the whole movie.
Yeah, for sure. He should have winked into the camera when his eye opened again. He had thriller eyes.
And then they put up some stupid quote right before the credits that says something like, "God made us, we didn't make ourselves."
Yeah, that said Freud was wrong. You go, okay, sure.
Yeah, I thought life came from life, though, so what are you trying to tell me?
It just says Freud was wrong, and then a dash, Professor Portland. You go, okay, I guess that's the end of it then. So,
did you watch all of the credits?
No, I shut it off immediately.
Okay, so I watched all the credits. Okay. My favorite name through the credits was MrMovie.biz. And they...
what is that? Is that a character?
They supplied the title and the end credits.
Shoutouts to MrMovie.biz.
Yeah, get it. And there's also a quote from the movie from Rachel herself.
Oh.
And it just says, "The chicken came first."
Ugh.
Rachel Whitaker.
Ugh.
It's so gross, but I felt it was worth it to watch the whole credits.
Totally worth it. I guess we should do that for every movie if there's going to be sneaky, sly stuff in there. We're going to have to watch every credit scene. Damn it. Oh, well. So, how many tortured, bloody Jesuses on the cross would you give this out of 10?
I'd probably give this a 9.9.
Yeah, me too. The maximum amount of crucified Christ as I could. This movie is like I said, this movie is why we made this show. This is what we want out of our Christian cinema.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna lay the groundwork for what we're gonna see in other movies.
I hope so. I hope this isn't the pinnacle of it. I mean, there's some crazy stuff. I've been looking through the stuff, and there's some pretty fun movies that we'll be talking about here pretty soon.
There's an endless supply of them. Yeah. I can't wait.
We have Christmas movies from now into eternity. We will never run out. Every Christmas we're gonna have a new movie, easy, and they'll all star Dean Cain. I can't wait.
I was looking at a few trailers after this movie because this just got me jazzed for doing this more often. And I think I'm more excited for Christmas than I've ever been this early in the year.
Well, that's good. Well, we finished our Valentine's Day talk. We'll start our Christmas countdown next episode. Fuck Easter. Good. We're skipping over Easter. Frick it. We're skipping over it.
Yeah, frick that shit.
Yeah. So until next time, I love you.
I love you.
We love you.
We love you.
O holy Jesus, how hast thou offended that man to judge thee hath in hate pretended?